our hero animal control officer, Shiro animal control officer, Brenda Hamlin, to the table, who is here to present her fiscal 21 budget recommendations to the town for animal welfare, care, safety, and compliance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So just to basically go over how animal control went last year. It's a little crazy to say the least. Shortly after we met last year, our dangerous dog hearing problem turned into a cruelty investigation. We've been through the last year with in and out of court. To date, we have taken in 30 dogs, 9 puppies, and 21 adults. We have possession of 2 deceased animals from her being held as evidence. And all this resulted in literally the whole year with in and out of court. We did have a huge hand through a rescue in Massachusetts called Sweet Paws Rescue that stepped in and actually notified us of 14 additional female adults and the 9 puppies that were being hidden in another town at a kennel. They honored their They honored their commitment to us, and they have taken in all of these dogs with all of their health problems and found them forever homes. So there were some that we had for months on end at the kennel because of quarantine issues with wounds and whatnot, but I'm able to still see and have contact with all these people that have adopted these dogs. It has come to the head where she has been charged with and arraigned on 13 felony counts of animal cruelty and 1 criminal count for failure to abide by a selectman's order. So we're still going through that. Our next court date is in March. So that pretty much took up most of my time last year. And with the new laws that have been passed for animal control in the state of Massachusetts, we are...
Let me just interrupt you for 1 second on this effort, which certainly you've taken the lead on. And you mentioned the group that's helped out. We committed substantial time and effort from town council in pursuing these issues, and have gotten a good deal of cooperation and support from the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. So this is a all-on law enforcement and cruelty prevention effort here.
It is.
That is, certainly you get credit, or credit is not what you're looking for.
No.
the thank you from this town for all that work, and I believe that it's important for them to know that you coordinated with all the resources you could to bring this to a close as quickly as possible, which was way too long.
Correct. It's been a process since this person moved into town, but it all came to a head with the dog bite, and then came to a bigger head with a deceased dog showing up. And
I want to also point out, because I should, the willingness of neighbors to not only bring forward the issues, but to offer testimony when required.
absolutely.
So this was an all-out effort, which would have been done much sooner, but we are a nation of laws. People have rights.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's amazingly frustrating as to how long it takes. But here we are
Absolutely.
with dozens of dogs now being protected that weren't.
Absolutely. I will step back to your point. I will tell you, working with town council has been unbelievable. The support that I got from them, and just working specifically with Mike Kennefett, because that's who, it's just been incredible. They're also a great support system to me, going through the laws and everything. So I'm very happy with their representation
Great.
with the town. I just need to say that. Good people to work with. So 5 years ago, they upgraded all the animal control laws, chapter 140, Mass General Law, chapter 140, in all the sections. And because there's a huge range in what some animal control officers get from support with their towns and what they don't, there were a huge variation in training and everything. Millis and Medway have always been supportive of me whenever I wanted to go to a training, no matter what it was. Not every ACO gets that support from their town. They made it mandatory that animal control officers now have to do a minimum of 8 continuing ed credits a year. Myself and my assistant have hit that consistently.
We're so delighted that the state funded that too, right?
Yep.
Not so much, people.
Not so much. However, I will say that if you do your taxes and there is a little checkbox for the spay-neuter, if you want to support spay-neuter in the state of Massachusetts, that also, not only does it allow animal control officers to apply and low-income people to apply through the animal control officer to the state to get low-cost spay-neuter, they have earmarked a percentage of that to cover training for animal control officers. For instance, the Animal Control Officers Association of Massachusetts has the training once a year.
And who's the president of that?
Not me.
Not you.
I am the treasurer.
Oh, the treasurer.
Joe Shaggy from Pittsfield is the president and has been for 6 years. They subsidized our entire training. We had 83 ACOs there and they covered the $49 a person. So it's worth it. Check that box off, and it is actually helping get a lot of ACOs on the same plane at where they should be. Aaron and I don't limit to, we only have to do 8 and then we're done. If something comes up that we're interested in, a lot of webinars are being offered now. So if it's a 2-hour training, you get a credit for each hour. So I believe I have banked 8 hours for this year, and Erin just passed me at banking 10 hours for this year. So, but that won't stop our training. So it's always good to know what you're doing, obviously, keep up on everything. So that's some of the stuff that we've done, with everything else, picking up the deceased animals, caring for the animals that we have in our custody. Going right into the budget, I have not asked for any increase for the expense side of our budget. We do okay. I do realize if you go back and look at what we spent the end of last fiscal year, we just kind of covered. We had quite a bit of extra expenses in regards to this cruelty case. There were a lot of unexpected expenses that came through with doing a necropsy, and that's a specialized forensic vet. That was a cost. We ended up having to pay the kennel for 2 weeks for where her dogs were, because the judge said she had the right to go say goodbye to them. So the town ended up eating that. So those costs that you see in fiscal year 19, it was specifically because of the unexpected costs. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. And then the salary increase is only the contractual increases that have already been taken care of and dealt with and agreed upon. So it's not a huge increase. The total budget, as you can see, is $94,570. We still split with Medway paying 55%. So Medway's fiscal year 21 is going to be $52,014. Medway's 45% is $42,557.
quick questions. Your expense line items don't show any increase.
Nope.
I don't see a line item for your training.
There isn't. The webinars are free. We try to do as many free things as we can. Like I said, the state subsidized the ACOM training for last year, so that was $49, so that didn't have to come out of my budget. We try to do as many free things as we can.
And the reason I ask is you have to travel to some of these locations to train. Do you get reimbursed for that?
No, I take the truck. So
Okay.
I take the animal control truck as most of us
He has an
do.
official vehicle.
I just want to make sure we're not costing her out of pocket for things like
No,
this.
no, that's all covered, the gas and the
Yeah, everything is,
truck is covered
How
through
about
the,
things like the kennel fees, the necropsy, or whatever you, how do you pronounce it?
that came out of my expense side of the budget. I did have some in there. I mean, it's not costing, it did cost me a little more last year, but it's not taking away from something I needed and couldn't get.
That's my major
Yes.
concern, that you have adequate funding to do what you have to do.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say that when I came up and talked to Mike and Carol and said, I have this bill, what do I do? There was no question to have it covered, and it was covered.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And again, excellent job of what.
Thank you. It's not done yet, but we're way closer than we ever were.
Well, I don't mean just for that, I mean, there have been
Thank you.
other incidents in town and so on, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
and just for clarity for the viewing public, the animal control department, we have an agreement with the town of Medway. And the agreement states that Medway shall pay for 55% of the total budget costs, and Millis pays for 45%.
Because historically, they have a little more population, and there just seems to be more calls. So it's,
I think it works out well for both
It
communities, yes.
it does. So the other thing that I've started to do is, in my free time during work, is I've started to scan in a lot of the animal control logs that are on paper. So I'm trying to get most of our history and stuff onto a computer, because there is going to become a time soon that I will be retiring, and I want whoever's coming in after me to be able to have, all the records and
Let's
not,
just strike that from the record.
yeah.
Nope, sorry.
I want them to be able to not just be handed boxes of stuff. In that, I want to, if I may, segue into what will be the town, hopefully part of the town clerk's presentation on trying to get the town of Millis to have an online dog database. Everything is done handwritten on paper. I can pretty much tell you if the police department calls me and says, hey, there's a black lab running here, I will say, call this person, tell them to go get their dog. That is not going to be afforded to the person, whoever steps into my shoes. With the online system that Medway has, I can go in, there's different levels of who can see what and do what in the system. Medway has put me in as an administrator, so if they're super busy doing censuses and whatever, and they get a stack of rabies certificates from the vet, they'll just hand them to me and say, hey, can you go sit down at your computer and log these in for us? So everything is there. I can put in when I gave somebody a citation, when I gave somebody a verbal warning, the date and why. So when you go in and punch up a number or a name or an address, you'll see why I was there. So it's there in one spot. It's not going to be at my office or on the computer or at the town
Just
clerk's
add
office.
Millis accounts to the system?
Excuse me?
You just add the Millis accounts to the system?
I don't know, that's a very good question.
I'm
If
sure
they
it's
go with
got
this,
Plenty of capacity, but I don't know that.
I'm not sure sure how that would work, but it needs to be updated and modified, because what happens now is somebody comes in, they either come in a person or they mail in through their census their license renewal. It's handwritten, and it's then,
But let me just add,
Sure.
in Medway, somebody takes that and enters it into the system.
yep, while you're standing
That's what
there,
I'm trying to get.
type it up, print it out.
Got it.
Done.
Could you get us the cost if we wanted?
Lisa and I have been talking, and that's part of her, but I am just trying to advocate for, please, this is something that needs to be done. So, once it's handwritten, it's then put into the computer at the town clerk's office, and then it's sent to me, and I sit at my desk and update my records. So, most of the online databases are web-based, and I can go in and just look everything up myself instead of having to call them and say, print this out for me, send this to me, whatever. Saves a lot of paper, saves a lot of time, saves a lot of aggravation, in my opinion.
Okay.
And also, isn't licensing, specifically rabies certificates, aren't those online? No?
What's that?
In other words, a vet posts it online, so
Nope.
that you know? they're
Nope,
not online.
they mail them to us. There are a few vets that will email their monthly report. There's still a lot of vets that print them out and mail them. So the other huge advantage is you can license your dog online. You can sit there at 2 o'clock in the morning if you choose, go on, put in, once it's in the system, you can go in, log in, put your email in, and you can license your dogs at 2 o'clock in the morning. It gets into the system when the town clerk comes in the next working day. It shows up, they hit OK, print it out, and mail them the tag. And Medway's unlicensed has gone down at least by half, because it's more, people do everything online now.
Right.
So it's much easier. We can also, once you're in there, we can email you reminders. It'll automatically remind you when your rabies is coming due, when licensing is coming due. You got 2 more days, get in here, license your dog. It's so much easier.
I remember thinking it was a great idea, but I also remember something like a $30,000 price tag attached to it when we first heard about it, so
I don't
it
think
didn't
it's
seem like it at all had an
Well-
economy of scale for the number of records.
like anything. It may cost Millis a little bit more to do it because their database is in Excel. Medway went from some form of online to a better one. There is a startup fee. There is a yearly fee to keep it running. But that's, that's part of, if you have any computer system, there's a service fee. But in the end, again, my belief is it's easier. And I think people would like the opportunity to be able to license their dogs online.
But I don't think there's any convincing in terms of the use of technology. And we need to understand what the costs are and
Yep.
so on. And we'll try to get a IT director or somebody to work with.
I understand. I just wanted to put my 2
No,
cents
that's
in on how it would benefit not only the town clerk, but animal control.
Right.
That's,
In the police department.
I've seen it personally, so I can attest to the fact that we need to do something. I have no problem with that. We just need to get the details.
If you know, where does your truck fall in the capital, long-term capital plan in terms of replacement?
right now, so this is my 3rd winter with it. It's a 2017. There are 50,000 miles on it. Running in right where I usually am for the age and the amount of calls and things. So probably if all goes well and nothing happens, probably 4 years out. So I will verse the next person how to ask nice first. Facebook.
Yes.
Yes.
I do not have a Facebook page. Please don't make me have one. It's bad enough that everybody tags me in the forums, town forums. Yes, I am part of the town forums. I use it to silently stalk people who lose their dogs and make note of it. And if it happens too many times, I will reach out to them and say, hey, we have a leash log, this can't keep happening. My main use for it is to post animals that I found, and I turn off commenting.
Right.
I don't need any Monday morning quarterbacks on how bad the dog looks, how cute it is, did I scan it for a microchip, have you tried this, I'll keep it in the foster until you find its home. Here's the dog I found, call my office, that's it. My assistant, if she finds an animal on the weekend, she runs it by me first, make her turn off commenting too. If I am tagged in...
But when you're talking about commenting, this is about some other forum that you're on.
Right,
That you get whatever they call it. I mean, there's no Millis, Medway, animal control Facebooks.
no, and again, I would kick and scream and beg you not to make me do it.
But you agree not to retire if we allow you to.
No. No, sorry.
But in truth, if there was a missing dog and we had an outbound only page, that would be an effective way for you to say, to call whomever inside a town hall, or just, do the post there versus on a Millis public forum.
Email
have a
post
dog.
to the town.
Yeah,
and say,
no,
"Could you
absolutely,
please
no,
put
that's
this on the town?"
absolutely.
Or rabies clinic coming up, boom, done.
Well, okay, so the rabies clinic is coming up. It is Saturday, April 4th. For the last 3 or 4 years, we have used a vet outside of Millis. Dr. DiPaolo retired from doing that after 25 years. The other vet that we had in town refused to give a rabies shot without a complete exam, and that's not what a rabies clinic is for. So we did have the availability of another vet, and it worked really well. However, Millis Animal Hospital got bought out again, and they reached out to me, and they cannot wait to co-sponsor our rabies clinic with us. So we will be using a Millis vet yet again.
Nice.
So basically what I would do, what I am going to do, is the Millis Rabies Clinic is from 1 to 3, hopefully at the DPW. I haven't talked to Jim yet to confirm that, but that's usually where we have it. Medway has their rabies clinic on the same day from 9 to 12 at their DPW barn. I do posters. I send them out through the town forums. That I would leave commenting on for only if they had a question, but it does say to call me with any questions. So yes, that would be something that would be posted. Any time that I've posted, if somebody found a dog or lost a dog, not only do I do it by myself, but I turn them to Missing Dogs Massachusetts. They do all the posters. If there's somebody in town that has lost a dog, honestly, I don't go out and chase the dog for them. We will do whatever we can with sightings, but the least amount of people chasing a dog is the better chance that it's going to get returned to their owner. If it's running scared from its owner, it's not going to come to you, no matter how much you want to help. So we do, and I will use private messaging. This is where we saw the dog. This is, this is the last place. Do we need to set up a trap? Is it hanging in this area? And that's another benefit with Missing Dogs Massachusetts. They have cameras, they have traps, they have volunteers that will come and sit there and watch the traps and stuff like that. So they are another resource to animal control officers that we haven't had, and it's a great thing that they're there. So that would go out, but and I'll be honest with you, any private messages that have come through to me, they get a response. This is not how you contact me. It's after hours. I get dispatched to the police department, and this is not an emergency, because that's not how you get in touch with me. But if I'm working with somebody, I will most certainly stay connected with them through private message.
I'm watching your clock because I know you're going to a continuing ed class. My question to you is there anything in this venue that you want to tell people either about donations to pet provisions, which looks like you've recently emptied it. Anything that you need specifically for the animal facility at the DPW, and anything you want to talk to the community about with respect to ticks, because we already have them.
Yes, we do. So I'm glad you mentioned my donation box. That has been amazing this year, especially when we had all our goldens, the food, the toys, flea treatment that came in. It was a huge help this year. And yes, that was Loring's idea, so thank you very much. It's been amazing, the amount of food we got through there. And ticks, we've had such a warm winter, they didn't stop. And they're going to be bad. They're going to be bad this year. There's a concern always, I'm sure people have seen in the news lately, we're having bigger animals come down with rabies. We've had bobcat, not in Millis or Medway, or anywhere near to us. There's been bobcats that have been rabid. There's been foxes that have been rabid. We've had coyotes that have been rabid, mostly New Hampshire, but they're close enough. It can happen. My biggest concern is this year in Massachusetts, specifically, I think we're up to 5 cases now of cats, stray cats with rabies. So I urge people, as much as you want to help, please do not handle stray animals. That's what we're here for. We are pre-vaccinated. We have the equipment to trap them or to come and pick them up. Never, 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 never bring them into your house with your children or your other dogs. If you just never know. They may look like they just came out of the groomer and from the vet and they look beautiful, but they can be carrying rabies. 2 cases specifically in Massachusetts were with kittens that were brought in, and they were too small to adopt, and by the time they hit adoption age, they were rabid. And they exposed everybody that handled them in the shelter. So just because they look okay doesn't mean they are okay.
And with Millis's significant building that's happening, I assume that you're identifying animals, wild animals that are being displaced.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of wild animals, especially in the areas that they're building. Down near the transfer station, there's a lot of woods that's going to disappear, and there's going to be a lot more interaction with wild animals. That being said, there's also going to be a lot more domestic animals being brought in too, so that's probably going to our call ratio also. And it's not just Millis. Medway has several large building plans coming down the pike too, so the increase in the amount of domestic animals is going to be crazy.
Is your radio system looped with the Millis Police Department?
Yes,
And you're fine with that?
Yeah, my radio system is looped in with Millis and Medway.
Well, just so you know, some mics eating some of that stuff. So
I understand. This is the first time I've heard that. I've got a good pest
It'd be
control guy
vermin.
for you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? You do heroic work. And this, I will say, since we were on the inside of the animal cruelty case, it was an extraordinarily painful case, and there were times where we had meetings where grown adults had tears in their eyes. So I just want to thank you in this forum for sticking with it, because it really was a very important thing to do. And good for you.
Thank you.